Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is February 27, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, the Champions League bracket is all set. And we know who we're going to. I'm so tired. To be facing off against in the round of 16. Also, Barcelona have completed the signing of Marcus Rashford. We officially have our first signing of the summer transfer market. And finally, Barcelona continue to track a Mexican star. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. Welcome to the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we're also going to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chats in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. So start filling out the chat section with your comments, your questions, whatever you want to say. Put it in the chat section so we can get this going. Also, tomorrow, Saturday, we have a watch-along. Therefore, because, of course, we're playing against Villarreal, the Mocas usually is on Saturdays. The Mocas will now be this weekend on Sunday. Since Saturday, we're doing the watch-along as Barcelona are set to play against Villarreal. It starts, I think, 10 a.m. or 10:15 a.m., so it kind of interferes a little bit with the Mocas time. So the Mocas will be moved to Sunday. I'll put the announcement in the community tab or on and on the Discord server so you guys are aware of it. Now, having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kickback, or Fanatics. If you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description and click on them. You get access to some pretty cool deals and offers courtesy of Barca News. And, of course, these deals you would not get if you don't use those links. All right, let's begin with the news. And of course, the big, huge, massive, giant news today. Well, maybe not that giant, but it is exciting news. It's exciting news because, ladies and gentlemen, the Champions League bracket is set. The draw is done, and we officially know who our opponent will be in the round of 16. And while it's no other than Newcastle. Now, this is what the bracket looks like. I'll zoom in a little bit for you guys because I know it probably looks small. This is the other side of the bracket. By the way, this bracket has some incredible matches. I cannot wait for these knockout matches of the Champions League. But on one side of the bracket, we have PSG versus Chelsea, Galatasaray versus Liverpool, Real Madrid drawing Manchester City again. I feel like every Champions League season, Madrid faces off against Man City. And then finally, Atalanta versus Bayern Munich. Very exciting side of the bracket. I think all these four matches are going to be exciting matches. And even the following round will also be very exciting. I mean, PSG versus Chelsea, for me, this is a toss-up. I don't even know who's going to win. I think either of them has a chance. I feel like PSG maybe has a slighter, bigger chance, but I feel like either one of them can go through. Galatasaray and Liverpool, believe it or not, this is actually a close one. On paper, of course, you would think Liverpool would smash Galatasaray, but we've seen Liverpool have been absolute trash this season. And Galatasaray, eliminating Juventus, I think that's going to be a closer match than what usually appears on paper. But even in the next round, in the quarterfinals, I mean, whoever goes through, if on paper it should be PSG Liverpool, that's still one hell of a match, right? Then we have Real Madrid Man City. I think Man City have a good chance of eliminating Real Madrid here. But even if they don't and Real Madrid goes through, I feel like the other winner would be probably Bayern Munich. So we're looking at a quarterfinal between Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, or Bayern Munich and Manchester City. Again, incredible matches on this side of the bracket. Now, let's look at the other side of the bracket, which is where Barcelona are. And we start with Newcastle versus Barcelona. We already played against Newcastle. We beat them the first time. It's not going to be an easy match. Last time we didn't play that well. Newcastle gave us a lot of problems. And if it wasn't for Rashford's individual performances, they could have we could have probably drawn or maybe even lost. So it's not going to be an easy match. Of course, easier than having drawn PSG, but nonetheless, it's still going to be a difficult match. Then we have Atletico Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur. So we're looking at a quarterfinal that maybe Barcelona versus Atletico, maybe even Barcelona versus Tottenham. I think between Atletico and Tottenham, either one can go through. Then here we have a not so interesting match, which is Bodo versus Sporting CP. And then the other one, Bayer Leverkusen versus Arsenal. Now, as far as Barcelona's side of the bracket, given this draw, I think we have a good chance, not a guaranteed chance, but a good chance of making it all the way to the semifinal. Because I think on paper, we should be able to beat Newcastle. And we move on to the quarterfinal. And on paper, we should be able to beat either Atletico or Tottenham Hotspur, which puts us in the semifinal. Now, the semifinal, this is where most likely we could end up playing against Arsenal. Because between Bodo and Sporting CP, I think either one can go through. Bayer Leverkusen and Arsenal, I think Arsenal will go through. And then I think Arsenal can win either against Bodo or Sporting CP. So we could be looking at a semifinal against between Barcelona and Arsenal, which would be, of course, an incredibly difficult semifinal. But of course, one step at a time. Before we can even talk about the semifinal, we have to, of course, get through the round of 16 first, which again, it's not going to be an easy match against Newcastle. In fact, none of these matches will be easy because now we're at a point in the Champions League where there is no such thing as easy matches. Every opponent that's left, besides maybe Bodo, is a club with good budget, good players, good team. So every match is going to be a difficult one. Now, of course, I do believe that we got the easier side of the bracket because on this side, we have teams like, again, PSG, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Bayern. I don't mention Madrid because they're a small club. On this side, we have Bodo as the small club. Probably they're making it on this side of the bracket. On this side, we have Real Madrid being a small club. So I think we did get an easier side of the bracket, but not an easy side of the bracket because, again, nothing is going to be easy. And shit, I'm excited. We have some pretty incredible matches coming up in the Champions League. I cannot wait. And, of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. What do you think about this draw? What do you think about Newcastle? What do you think about our side of the bracket? I'm very, very excited to see what happens. Again, we have a good chance of making it at least to the semifinal. But, of course, first have to get through Newcastle before we can even talk about the quarterfinal, let alone the semifinal. All right, and let's move on to the next bit of news because today, ladies and gentlemen, the team completed the final training session ahead of tomorrow's match against Villarreal. Speaking of difficult matches, tomorrow we have another difficult match. Of course, Villarreal, one of the best teams in La Liga this season, even though their Copa del Rey and their Champions League campaigns were absolute disasters. Nonetheless, Villarreal have been very strong in La Liga, and tomorrow we have to face off against them. Remember, we had a pretty tough match last time we played against them up until the point one of their players got a red card, and that's when things opened up for Barcelona. But up to that point, it was pretty even. So don't expect an easy match tomorrow against Villarreal. And of course, given that we're only 1 point ahead of Real Madrid, we cannot afford to draw or lose. We need a victory tomorrow, and well, it's not going to be an easy one. Now, speaking of tomorrow's match, of course, Frankie de Jong will not be present since his injury has been confirmed. He will be out 5 to 6 weeks. And the big question is, who will replace Frankie de Jong? And preliminary reports are stating that most likely will be Marc Bernal. So we might be seeing a Marc Bernal-Pedri partnership tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see, of course, because Bernal is not fully fit to where he could start and play 90 minutes of every single match. But as we've seen, he's been getting more and more minutes with every passing week. I gotta say, I'm really excited to see Marc Bernal play right next to Pedri because, as we know, I think Bernal is the future of Barcelona's midfield. So is Pedri, and it'll be exciting to see them, the two of them, playing tomorrow. Now, another player that we could see get some minutes tomorrow is Tony Marquez because not only did he train with the first team, he's expected to be part of the squad for tomorrow. So who knows, Flick might give him some minutes. Now, let's move on to the last bit of news of this segment But as you know, there's currently a legal complaint that's been filed against John Laporta, accusing him of laundering money, in other words, stealing money from the club through high commissions that were paid in the deals, in the Nike deal, the Camp Nou deal, the New Era Vision deal, and the Barca Vision deal. That complaint was filed by a soci in the Madrid court, and now the prosecutor's office are looking to change the venue. They're looking to move the lawsuit from Madrid to Barcelona based on jurisdiction or based on venue, because since a lot of these alleged acts happen in the city of Barcelona, the prosecutor's office is arguing that the case should be venued in Barcelona. So they're requesting to move the case from Madrid to Barcelona. If it is approved, then the Barcelona court will have to decide whether there's enough evidence to open up an investigation. Not enough evidence whether Laporta is guilty or not, is whether there's enough evidence to open up an investigation. If there is, an investigation will take place. And then if the investigation uncovers enough evidence to hold a trial, then there will be a trial, and then the evidence will be presented, and a judge or jury will decide whether Laporta and his board of directors are guilty of stealing money from the club through exorbitant commissions that were paid on those deals. All right. By the way, if you want more details of this case, I did talk about it in Wednesday's podcast and Monday's podcast. More detail in those podcasts. All right, let's begin with the comment section, and then we are going to talk about the UEFA income report, which shows that Barcelona recorded some record revenue. I like it. But for now, I'm going to take a sip of my drink because I'm incredibly thirsty and my throat feels dry. But let's see. Z Delmore says, hey, Mo, thanks for always keeping us updated on our team. Enough respect from Jamaica. Bobakla. Thank you, my friend, for your comment and for joining the live. And Barca Mama saying, happy Friday, culés. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm so glad that the weekend is here. I had an incredibly busy week. Well, every week for me is incredibly busy, but this week was a tad more busy. I'm so tired. I fell asleep, by the way, before the podcast began. Like, I finished work and I was preparing the topics I wanted to talk about, and I just passed out. Like, mouth open, head back against the wall, tongue out. Woke up because there was a little drool going down my mouth. I was like, did this, and then I was like, oh shit, it's like 7:20. I need to hurry up and get ready for the podcast. Walk downstairs to go to use the restroom, and I was literally like a walking zombie. I was like, where is you know how zombies go, brains, me. I was like, bathroom. But here I am. I'm awake, but I gotta say, I'm probably gonna go to bed early today. I'm becoming an old man, man. I'm becoming an old man. Fridays used to be like, yeah, let's go. Work is done. The week is here. Let's go out party and drink until I pass out. Now it's like, oh, but Friday's here. Can't wait to go to bed. But that's okay. That's what Saturday and Sundays are for. Having fun. Fridays are now for sleeping. Klaus says Saturday for me. Yeah, it's already Saturday in England. Because, Klaus, you live in London, right? If I remember that correctly. Which, by the way, I will be in London end of March. As I mentioned before, I am going to Barcelona. March 20th is Friday. That's when I land in Barcelona. I will be there for the weekend. I'm going to take my camera with me. I'm going to make a special video about the Camp Nou. I'm going to film outside, inside. I'm going to do a whole video about the Camp Nou. I cannot wait. I haven't seen the stadium since it closed. And after that, I'm flying to London. So I'm very excited. I've actually never been. It will be my first time in London. So that's exciting. And Barca Mama says, happy Saturday, Klaus. Yes, Klaus, happy Saturday. And happy Saturday to everyone watching who is already Saturday for them. Because I know a lot of people watch from the other side of the world, the other half of the world, the old world, if you want to name it that way, where now it's Saturday, but here in the new world, it's still Friday. But happy Friday, happy Saturday, wherever you are. And Bad Boy says, Visca Barça. Visca Barça, my friend. Visca Barça. And Waffle says, you know what? Rashford signing for $10 million for 3 years ain't terrible. I'm going to talk about the Rashford signing in a little bit because why can't just Barcelona negotiate like normal people? And I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it why I think this is not a good tactic. And it has nothing to do with Rashford himself. Like I'm not even gonna argue whether Rashford is a good signing or a bad signing. I want to talk about how this club just cannot negotiate for their to save their own fucking lives. I mean, it's fucking nuts, man. You just do not know how to fucking negotiate. Like, you come to Barca, be like, yo, I got this, I don't know, this cup. I sell it to you for $10. And Barca be like, $10? I don't think so, bro. 20. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. It's actually $5. I was trying to rip you off, telling you this cup is 10, but you want to offer me 20? Well, fuck it. Let's go. Like, zero negotiation skill. But we'll talk about it in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Danelle says, finally, Mo, live on your podcast after a long time. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. Thank you for joining. It's good to have you back. Hopefully you can join us more often. And then my favorite slogan, my favorite intro, my favorite line. Hello, Mo, Justice Boya from the Gambia. I'm so optimistic that we can reach the Champions League finals, but only if team play with high quality and high intensity. Kunde, Balde, Lewy, Torres to shine up. Here's the thing. Like I said, there's no such thing as easy matches now in the Champions League. We're at a stage where every team we're going to face off against is going to be difficult, challenging, and the Barcelona's going to have to play every match like it's a final. There's no, oh, this is an easy opponent, so we're going to come out, maybe 70% intensity. Oh, maybe we give away the first half, and then we mount to come back. No. Every match from now on, it's going to have to be played as a final. Come out, full intensity, pedal to the metal, motor and rocket the whole time, every single second of the match. Otherwise, we're not even going to get past Newcastle. But having said that, even with that in mind, I don't know if we can make it guaranteed to final. I think we have a good possibility to at least the semi, because then in the semi, we could potentially face off against Arsenal. And that is not going to be easy whatsoever. I mean, Arsenal is one of the favorites to win the Champions League this season. So I think that would be insane. But let's do one more. Dorian says, hey, Mo, Justice Dorian from the Gambia. Just kidding, but I can't wait to face Newcastle. Hopefully, Barcelona can improve and catch from right in time. Hopefully, my friend, hopefully. Let me take another sip, and then I'm going to talk to you about the UEFA report. Oh, yeah, that hits the spot. All right, let's move on to the next bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, UEFA have produced a financial report that shows that Barcelona, out of all the European clubs, have had the biggest absolute increase in revenue over the last financial year. Now, what does this mean? It doesn't mean that Barcelona have made the most money. That means that Barcelona have had the biggest increase in revenue, the biggest jump in revenue out of all the European clubs. It's crazy. That's insane. It just goes to show how much Barcelona is growing, how strong the Barcelona brand still is, despite all the damage that Bartomeu did to the club and to the brand. Barcelona brand is still one of the strongest, if not the strongest brand in the world of football, where Barcelona have recorded the biggest jump in revenue out of all of European clubs. Now, the main driver, according to this UEFA report, again, this is UEFA's report. This is not some journalist coming up with a report. This is not Barcelona coming up with their own report. This is UEFA. Remember, UEFA has access to all the finances of all European clubs because they all have to submit their finances to UEFA to make sure they're compliant with financial fair play. So if there's anyone who knows how all European clubs are doing, well, it's freaking UEFA, right? Now, according to UEFA's report, the reason or the main driver behind Barcelona's huge jump in revenue is their renewed partnership with Nike because, hold on to your seats, Barcelona leads all of Europe in shirt sales or in kit sales. Barcelona leads all of Europe in kit sales, where Barcelona last fiscal year sold 277 million euros worth of kits. 277 million euros in kits. Crazy, crazy figures. Again, Barcelona leads all of Europe in shirt sales. Now, to put this into context or to contrast this figure with other clubs, again, Barcelona, 277 million in shirt sales. Real Madrid, 231. That's 46 million euros less. Bayern Munich, 189 million euros in shirt sales. Man U, 172. Arsenal, 151. Liverpool, 148. Tottenham, 102. By the way, who the fuck is buying Tottenham shirts? 102 million? That to me sounds crazy, but whatever. Galatasaray, 99 million. Chelsea, 95 million. PSG, 88 million. And Man City, 88 million. 88 million. That's crazy, by the way. Man City, 88. And PSG, 88 million. PSG is the only French club that exists because the rest are all farmers. And they can only sell 88 million in shirt sales, and Barca 277. That's crazy. I didn't expect Man City to only have 88 million, by the way. And again, who the fuck is buying Tottenham shirts? Can someone explain to me 102 million in shirt sales? Who's buying these shirts? Is it like one guy buying 102 million worth of shirts? Anyways. But yes, so that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. Barcelona have recorded the highest increase in revenue. And that, of course, is huge, huge news because, as we know, we're going through very tough financial situation, and increasing revenue is always a good news because we need to continue increasing our revenue. We need to continue decreasing our spending so we can be able to, well, attain financial viability and maintain said financial viability. By the way, one of the reasons for Barcelona's continued growth as a brand is, of course, the rise of Lamine Yamal, because, Lamine Yamal has become a global phenomenon. Especially with the young generation. They were talking about how football was losing the interest and attention of the younger generation. But now with the rise of Lamine Yamal, football is once again getting back the younger crowds, Gen X or whichever gen came after. Well, what's after Gen X? I don't even fucking know. No, Gen Z. Sorry, not Gen X. Gen X is first and millennials, then Gen Z. Gen Z. Lamine Yamal is actually bringing a lot of the Gen Zers into the football, a lot of Gen Zers who weren't interested in football now back into football. And this, of course, is great, great news. All right, let's do more comments. And then if anyone can explain to me who's buying all these Tottenham shirts, I'll be I would greatly appreciate it. But Klaus says if Mo buys the beer without his beard, he will be asked for some ID. Maybe. This is how you know when you get old. Is when the first time you go to a club or a bar and they're just like, hey, how you doing? Come in. And I'm like, oh, damn, bro. You're not going to ask me for ID? That's fucked up. The first time they do that, you're like, okay, yeah. It hurts. You're like, all right. I'm old. This motherfucker doesn't even want to ask me for ID. Most likely the security guard is younger than me. Let's see. We do have a donation. Let's fucking go up there. By the way, my girlfriend, every time I do that, she just like laughs her ass off. She's like, why do you say it like that? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. It just comes out. I'm just happy. I'm seeing a donation. It's excited. So it just comes out. It's just like, she'll randomly ask me, be like, can you do the whole, I just got a donation. So I got to be like, I just got a donation. And she just laughs her ass off. But Shin, thank you so much, my friend, for the donation. But Shin says, I'm so freaking busy and tired. Just pulled all our 600 MCM cable, little bigger than the diameter of a quarter. Oh, that's a big fucking cable. To 1200 amp automatic transfer switch for a new generator, and I'm tired as hell. Early wake up tomorrow for more. Wow, that sounds crazy. I mean, if a cable is this big, I can only imagine how much power goes through it, how much voltage goes through it, because I mean, the cables on our walls, which power our houses, are not that, they're like pretty thin. And if those thin cables can, power everything that we use, like computers and TVs and lights, I can't imagine what a freaking cable this thick, how much power carry. I imagine if you touch that shit, you're just dead. I can also I imagine that's freaking heavy as hell too. I mean, that's all metal, like thick, dense metal. Sounds a little gay. I'm doing this, and it's like thick, dense. But anyways, uh, I'm sorry you have to wake up early tomorrow, my friend. I hope you get some rest at least on Sunday. I know you've been working Saturdays to finish that project. Hopefully, that project is done pretty soon, and you can catch up on your rest because 6 day weeks. I've done 6 day weeks, 6 day work weeks with only 1 day off, and it's not fun. It's even if you spend all of Sunday sleeping, it still catches up with you after a while where you're like, all right, 1 day off is just not enough. It's just not enough. I've done that and it's terrible. So I hope your project gets finalized pretty soon, my friend, and power to you. And I hope that you get some rest pretty soon because that's tough. And again, that sounds like really hard work to have to pull a cable that thick because I can't imagine it's light at all. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Blaurana X says people was saying our side on the UCL is the Europa League. No, it's not the Europa League, but it's easier than the other side. But we still got. I mean, I guess when you see Sporting CP and Bodo, you're like, okay, yeah, that's not the strongest opponents as opposed to the other side where you have, Man City and PSG and Chelsea and Bayern, right? But on the other side, they have smaller teams too. They have Atalanta, they have Real Madrid. I mean, they have two small teams too. Just like we have Bodo and Sporting CP, the other side has Real Madrid and Atalanta, who are small teams. But our side is a little bit easier, not gonna lie, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Two different things. David Blandon says, my biggest problem with signing Rashford is he's around the same age as Coutinho. Who's this Rafinha guy? I never heard of Rafinha, man. It's fucking Coutinho. So in a few years, we'll be looking for two left wingers. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. That's one thing I've always said on the channel. To me, it doesn't make sense to sign two players that are the same age for the same position because the two of them will get old at the same time. And then instead of replacing one, you have to replace two, right? Not that they're old now, but they will be eventually, right? Eventually, Coutinho is going to be 32, 33, and so will Rashford. And now you need to not only replace Coutinho, now they have to replace Coutinho and Rashford, which makes no sense to me, right? You usually want a Coutinho who's 27, 28, someone in their prime, and then you bring someone younger that still needs to grow and develop, and they can grow and develop, and you don't have to worry about it because, I have Coutinho. It can start where the other guy grows and develop. And then when Coutinho's old, this younger guy can take his place. And then you bring someone younger. And when this younger guy becomes old, this one takes his place. And it's like a conveyor belt, right? But no. Barca's like, let's bring two guys the same age so they both get old at the same time and we have to replace both of them at the same time because, that makes fucking sense, right? That makes total sense. Edward Hamilton says, hi, Mo, one game at a time. Villarreal first, but Atleti don't have to score. I'll be surprised if Atleti in the Copa doesn't play a six-man backline lined up like fence posts a yard deep in 19. Oh, I'm sure Atletico Madrid are going to park the bus. Actually, I hope they park the bus because last time they didn't park the bus, they came out at us with full intensity and they scored 4 against us, and it could have been 6. But whenever they have parked the bus, we've usually been able to score against them. And it's like, I hope they park the bus because... And here's the thing. This is the problem with having a bum of a coach like freaking, what's his name, Simeone. Is that Atletico has some incredible firepower, man. They have a pretty good squad. A squad that could easily be competing for the Champions League if they didn't have a fucking bum-ass coach like Simeone, because he's a bum. All he does is park the bus. And it's like, bro, you have players like Griezmann, Julian, now they have Lookman. You have like all these players, and you could be like attacking and scoring goals and competing with the biggest, but instead you're not because you're a bum who just, all you know how to do is freaking park the bus. Which, by the way, that's great for us, obviously. I'm not here to complain, but I mean, if I was an Atletico Madrid fan, I would be freaking upset. Because what we saw, like, they scored 5 against Madrid. They scored 4 against us. And if I'm an Atletico Madrid fan and I'm watching this, I was like, yo, we could be like competing against the best, but instead we're not because they're 15 points behind Real Madrid and because their coach is a freaking bum. But anyways, Eddie says Bernal, Pedri midfield should cook. Man, once Bernal is like fully fit where he could start every match and play 90 minutes of every match, Bernal Pedri duo is gonna be insane. Insane, man. JDYN says, haha, bomba clad, bless up Mo. I'm Jamaican as well. One love to us all. That's awesome, my friend. I did not know you were Jamaican, but that's cool. I want to make it out to Jamaica one day. I have never been, but I always hear great things. I can't wait to visit. And Sandart says, Mo, what do you think about Newcastle drawing the Champions League? It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but it is an easier option than the PSG. Now, of course, I would have preferred PSG because, as I've always said, I want the toughest opponent, right? Because at the end of the day, football is entertainment. And what's more entertaining than the best two teams? Not that I'm saying that Barca and PSG are the two best, but, you know, I'm just speaking in general terms. But there's nothing more entertaining than the two best teams going at it, right? The two toughest, best teams with all their players healthy going at it. That's the most that's peak entertainment. No one wants to see fucking Barcelona versus Albacete in a final of the Champions League, right? No one wants to see that shit. So obviously I would have preferred PSG because, again, I want the best to face off against the best. But we got Newcastle. It is what it is. I think they're an easier option than PSG, but they're still a very difficult opponent. Easier doesn't mean easy, right? And shit with another donation. Thank you, Shay, for your generosity. But she says we pulled a total of 24 of those bad boys today. The cables are full on copper. Poof. That's heavy. 3 hots and a neutral 8 times. We call it a 4x parallel service. Just some random information for you. Whew. How much do those cables weigh and how much power do they? I mean, when you say pull, are you pulling them out of where? I'm just like completely lost. Like, I know nothing about electrical work. But I mean, that sounds heavy. That sounds very heavy. It sounds like a lot of work. And yeah, like I said, it sounds like if you touch it, you go flying. I remember when I was a little kid, my dad's always been the kind of guy that just fixes everything around the house. And I remember, this is like in the 90s. I was a little kid, and we had you guys remember the old TVs with the big back, looked like a big booty. Shawty got back. And the cover was off and the TV was laying face down and there was all the parts and it was plugged in. And I remember like there was this circular thing. I was like, oh, what is this? And I go to, and as I'm reaching for it, my dad screams, no, but obviously it was too late and I hit that thing and it went, and I was like, whoo, I saw my ancestors. I mean, and that was just a TV. I mean, that's just 220 watts. So I'm like, my God, if that it felt like death to me, I remember, but I can't imagine these big fucking cables. So, but I hope your project's over soon, my friends, and you can get some rest and you can drink some beer and hang out with the wifey and the doggos. But yeah, that sounds like hard work. All right, let's get back to the news. Let's do the next bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, it's confirmed. Barcelona have finalized the first signing of the summer transfer market, and it's no other than Marcus Rashford. Yes, you heard that right. Barcelona have reached an agreement with Manchester United to sign the 28-year-old English winger who so far has scored 10 goals and provided 11 assists for Barcelona. Now, as you know, Rashford is on loan with Barcelona with an option to buy worth 30 million euros. Barcelona were looking to pay less than those 30 million euros, but it appears that has not worked because Man U kind of dug their heels in the ground and said, nope, Rashford's value has gone up. You either pay the 30 million, which is the option to buy, or you're not getting the player. So it seems that Manchester United are going to get away with it, or they're going to get their wish. Barcelona will pay 30 million euros for Rashford. However, Barcelona have managed to negotiate a payment plan. Now, Manchester United have agreed to a three payments, each worth 10 million euros. So Barcelona will be able to sign Rashford and pay for him in three quotes, 10 million euro payments. Now, as you know, Barcelona has already agreed to activate Rashford's option to buy months ago. We even heard the news of Deco meeting with Rashford's agents to try to come up with a plan to sign Rashford, to try to reduce that 30 million euro ask. It looks like, again, that plan didn't work, but as far as reducing it, but it did work as far as negotiating a payment plan. Again, three quotes of 10 million euros each. Now, as far as the player himself, obviously the agreement was already there. Rashford has been wanting to stay in Barcelona since the first day he landed in Barcelona. He's willing to reduce his salary to accommodate Barcelona's financial situation. So now this whole deal is just pending the approval of La Liga because, of course, it has to fit the financial fair play. Now, as far as how much Rashford's salary is, will do with what La Liga tells Barcelona financial fair play is. So Barcelona might do a 3-year deal, maybe a 4-year deal to stretch out Rashford's salary compensation packet over more years to make it fit. So we'll have to see what La Liga says, and depending on that, we'll know what kind of deal Barcelona or what kind of contract Barcelona will offer Rashford. But just know that this deal is complete. Rashford will become a permanent player of Barcelona come this summer transfer market. Now, during the comment section, I said this deal just shows that Barcelona do not know how to fucking negotiate. They do not know how to fucking negotiate. They really do not know how to fucking negotiate. And again, this has nothing to do with Rashford. We can argue about whether this is a good signing. I don't think so. I don't think Rashford has done enough to earn staying at Barcelona. Plus, again, he's the same age as Rafinha. So why are we signing two wingers who are the same age? We're going to get old at the same time, and we're going to have to replace both of them at the same time. But nonetheless, merit aside, let's assume this is a great signing and Rashford's amazing and woo, I'm so happy. Barcelona cannot fucking negotiate, okay? And this comes from someone who I would say maybe 60, 70% of my job is negotiating. I negotiate at least a dozen times a week. So I know a thing or two about negotiating. And Barcelona cannot negotiate for shit. Because agreeing to pay the 30 million, that's not negotiation. That's literally what the option to buy is. That's already stipulated in the contract. That's not fucking negotiating. That's like going into the car dealership and asking, hey, how much is this car? 50,000. Okay, I'll take it. Woohoo, I'm a great negotiator. Let's fucking go. It's like, no, motherfucker, you didn't negotiate shit. They gave you a price. You accepted it, and that's what you're going to pay for it, even if it's in a payment plan. It doesn't fucking matter. Barcelona cannot fucking negotiate. And here's why. Rashford wants to stay in Barca. He's made it very clear. He wants to stay at Barca, and he's willing to do whatever he can to stay at Barca. Man U need to get rid of Rashford. My fucking God. Can the ball be in your core anymore? No. The player wants to stay at all costs, and his former club wants to get rid of him at all costs. How about you play that for your fucking advantage? And you start telling Man U, hey, Man U, we're not going to pay that. And you play the chicken game. And you just let times pass by. And you let Man U get nervous. And as the time keeps running, and as you get closer and closer and closer to the summer transfer market, even as you get closer and closer to the end of the summer transfer market, guess who's going to flinch? Not us. Man U. You know why? Because we already have an option to buy. We can always exercise it at any point. So why not let them sweat? Leave Rashford on the bench. How about that? We don't need him to start anyway. We have Rafinha as a starter. Remember what Atletico Madrid did to us with Griezmann? There was a stipulation in his contract that if he played a certain amount of minutes with Atletico Madrid would have to pay us 25 mil. You know what they did? Despite Griezmann being an absolute starter for them at the time, they sat him on the bench, and they're like, he's not going to play a single minute, so that clause does not get activated, and I don't have to pay 25 million for him. Do the same with Rashford. Put him on the bench and said, you know what? I'm not interested in signing him. Play the chicken game. You have nothing to lose because you already have the option to buy worth 30 million euros. Let Man U sweat. Let time go by, and eventually they're going to flinch. And if they don't flinch, then fuck it. You still have the option to buy that you can exercise. My fucking God, this club cannot negotiate. Jesus, it drives me nuts. Man U says we want 30 mil, and Barca's like, okay, 30 mil, but we got a payment plan. Fuck your payment plan. You're still paying the same amount that is in the contract. Pisses me off, man. It pisses me off. But anyways, let's move on to the comment section, and then we're going to talk about the last bit of news, which is that Barcelona are still tracking the Mexican star that we talked about last time. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Where did we leave? Wow, there's a lot of comments today. I fucking love it. I love it. Edward says, when is Gabi back? Gabi like a single man, double pivot. He does not back down. Gabi should be getting the medical clearance. They said by the end of this month, which it almost is the end of this month. So maybe next week. But sometime around, we're very close for him to getting the medical clearance. In fact, he's been training with the team. And as we know, that's usually the final step of any recovery. So anytime now, we should be getting his medical clearance. But of course, that doesn't mean that once he gets his medical clearance that he's going to be playing right away. It's going to be like Bernal. Gradual return, more and more minutes. At first, just a few minutes, and then more and more and more until eventually he's back to full fitness. And share with another donation. Let's look go. Thank you so much, my friend, for your third donation. Machin says, I'll post pictures of it in a Discord tomorrow if I remember to, so y'all can actually see the gibberish I'm spitting. Maybe I'll connect the dots. Yes, please. Post some pictures on a Discord server. I would love to see that. I've never seen like high voltage electrical work. The most I've seen is just houses being wired. One time when I remodeled my bathroom, I broke down the walls and I had someone come and replace the electrical connections. But that's not exciting. So if you can post pictures, please do in a Discord server. And for everyone who's a member, and for those of you who recently became a member, if you haven't joined yet, make sure you join a Discord server. The link is in the community tab, only visible to channel members. So join a Discord so we can have more discussions on there. Again, and maybe I'll just post the link again in case it's lost, because I've posted a lot of stuff since I think since the last time I posted the link. All right, let's see. Glenn says, I believe the Young injury is a blessing in shadows. Our midfield will have balance and better structure. It could be a blessing in disguise for Marc Bernal, because now that Frank is injured, maybe Bernal will get more minutes. So it could be. But of course, at the end of the day, I don't think, injuries are ever a blessing, period, regardless who it is. Because, we need all of our players healthy. We need all of our players available, especially with the hectic calendar that these players are facing. So, I usually don't consider any injury a blessing in disguise, but it is a silver lining for Bernal. And Rarel. There are many Tottenham fans here in the U.S. thanks to their game being in USA every week. Okay, maybe that explains a little bit of who's buying the 100 million worth of shirts. And Joker says that probably bought like $1,500 worth of Barca merch within a year. Well, thank you, my friend. You're part of the Barcelona increase in revenue, so thank you for that. I don't even want to do the math of how much I've spent on Barca gear in the last year or the last few years. I don't want to think about it. I want to pretend that, that problem doesn't exist because I have a problem. Half of my closet is Barca gear. And I'm not talking about kits. I'm talking about like clothes in general, like t-shirts and hoodies and jackets and hats, and half of my closet is Barca gear. So I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do the math. I don't want to add it up because I will get very, very depressed. And Costa says Bodo beat many of the big teams like Man City, Sporting CP, beat PSG. Yeah, man, Bodo, the giant slayers. The giant slayers, man. Bodo have been doing some crazy shit this Champions League. Let me see, Bodo. Let's review their results in the group stage. Come on. Let's see. Matches. Can I select by team? Let me see. Stats. Teams right here. Teams. Let's review how Bodo did the season or are doing the season because they're still in it, right? All right, let's see. Bodo. Let's hit view all. All right, Bodo. First leg, 5-0 against Sturm Graz. Second match. Oh, wait, these are the playoffs. What the fuck am I talking about? All right, here we go. This is the beginning. Oh, I'm like, I hear music, and it's my phone. Okay. Slavia Praha, Bodo 2-2. Bodo Tanam 2-2. They lost to Galatasaray 3-1. They lost to Monaco. They lost to Juventus 2-3. They tied with Dortmund 2-2. They beat Man City 3-1. Yeah. They beat Atletico Madrid 2-1. Yeah. They beat Inter Milan 3-1. And then they beat Inter Milan again 2-1. It's crazy, man. They beat Inter Milan twice. They beat Atletico and they beat Man City. Bodo, man. Bodo. All right, let's see. Oh, man. My nose is running. Billy Mack says, smooth face Mo, what happened? Did you lose a bet? No, I just got bored. I shaved my beard, regretted it. I do this every like 2 or 3 years where I get bored, I shave my beard, I immediately regret it, so I grow it back and I say, I'm never going to do this again. And then 2 years later, I literally do it again. El Ral says it's absolutely ridiculous to even sign Rashford, both age and quality factors here. Rashford is 28 and never a world beater. He'll never improve. Anyways, we could have gotten Bisou, Nusa, or Fofana. Yeah, I would have much rather we signed Fofana. But what can we do? Barca Original says, same here. I hope and pray Atletico Park the bus in Camp Nou. It will give us a chance to put pressure on them and score more goals. What do you think about Bernal starting alongside Pedri and Fermin? I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Let's do one more comment and then we'll do the last bit of news. But Abdul says, hey, Mo, good to catch you live today. You hear about Barca playing some matches at Montjuic next season. What's your take? So, 2027 is when they're going to be working on the roof. Or next season, I should say. So, we hope that by the Sevilla match, March 15th, we have the 1C license. So, the first 2 rings will be at full capacity, 62,000 people. Supposedly, by the summer or by beginning of next season, the 3rd ring will be done. And we'll have full capacity, 105,000 people. I doubt it, but that's the timeline. And then they're going to start building the roof. And they're saying that Barcelona, the Camp Nou will have to close for 4 months. 4 months to do work. According to Laporta, they're going to try to plan it to where we don't need to play matches somewhere else. Whether have the work done over the summer, and this will be maybe summer 2027, or maybe try to move matches around with the help of La Liga to play a bunch of matches away. But it's going to be 4 months where you cannot hold matches at the Camp Nou for the construction of the roof. So according to the club, they're working on a way where we don't have to play in Montjuic, but we might have to. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are still tracking and are still interested in Armando La Hormiga Gonzalez, or Armando the Ant Gonzalez. That is his nickname. This is someone, of course, we talked about in a previous video. He is a 22-year-old forward currently playing in the Mexican League for Las Chivas de Guadalajara. So far this season, he has scored 17 goals in 24 matches, and his performance, or his great performances, have attracted the attention of many of the European clubs, including Feyenoord, West Ham, Celtic, and even CSK Moscow, who already offered 20 million euros to sign the Mexican star, but it doesn't look like Armando Gonzalez wants to go to Moscow. I don't blame him. It's fucking cold. But anyways, Armando Gonzalez's contract does expire in 2029, but despite that, he does have a 15 million euro release clause, which makes him very affordable for Barcelona. And he is a player that's known for his sharp movements, quick reactions, and strong finishing. Now, we already talked about all of this, so you might be saying, Mo, why the fuck are you repeating the same news? Well, don't worry. I got new news for you. I got you, bro. Well, the new news is that Barcelona continue to track this player. And in fact, Barcelona scouts were seen at the match between Mexico and Iceland, where Armando Gonzalez scored 1 goal and provided 1 assist. So it looks like this interest is real, right? This is not just rumors, because Barca scouts have been seen watching the player up close. Now, for now, Barcelona are just tracking him, watching him, see how he does over a long period of time. And then eventually, of course, they'll have to decide whether this is a viable option to sign. But just know that Armando Gonzalez is in Barcelona's crosshairs, is a player that Barcelona are tracking, where the scouts are even going to his matches to see him perform up close. And of course, my question to you is, what do you think about the signing of Armando Gonzalez? As I've said many times before, the center forward position is not a position where we can afford to bring someone who's promising, who's an up and coming. I think Armando Gonzalez will be a great signing if we already bring someone who's established that can hit the ground running, while allowing Armando Gonzalez or any other promising center forward to grow and develop. Center forward position is not a position that you can bring someone who's growing and developing and hope for the best. You need someone who's in their prime, who can hit the ground running. But of course, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts about Armando Gonzalez. Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. All right, let's do a few more comments, and then we'll end this because I do have to be done by 8:55. But Sajog with the donation. Let's fucking go. Thank you, my friend, for your donation and for your support of the channel. But Sajog says, with Gabi coming back, we'd have 7 midfielders. We have to sell one for sure. Who would you choose? I think Casado will fetch us some money. Oh, I think Casado would probably be the one that makes the most sense, because he's the one who gets the least amount of minutes. But he is the one who has the only kind of profile that he does, like a pure defensive midfielder. He's probably the only pure defensive midfielder that we have. So on one hand, it makes sense to sell him. And on the other hand, it is the only profile that you have. I ideally would want to sell Olmo, because, like I said, we should have never fucking signed Olmo. The fuck were we thinking signing Olmo? But that's not going to happen, obviously. And plus, when it comes to Olmo and Casado, obviously Olmo's a lot more talented. So I think on paper it makes sense that it would be Casado. But that's a tough decision. But why the fuck did we sign Olmo, man? Anyways. Kalesujianin says, if you have to sell a player, for me, it's Olmo. But what do you think? I agree with that. And Barcelona says, Shin, that is awesome. Happy for you. And Armando says, Shin got that workout today. I know what you mean, boss. Them copper cables are heavy. I use those for 690 cables when putting those up on wind turbines. At least they are easier to bend than aluminum. Wow. That sounds pretty interesting. Wind turbines. That's pretty cool. Let me see. What else? DC Derek says, Mo, why the rush to sign Rashford? Why, bro? This signing makes no sense. I don't fucking know, man. It's like, it makes no sense to me. We could have definitely dragged it on. We could have definitely started playing chicken with it and be like, we don't want Rashford. Fuck Rashford. He's not that good. And then just let Man U sweat, man. At the end of the day, you have nothing to lose. You already have the option to buy. It's not like, if you play chicken, maybe Man U says, fuck you then, bye. And now you're screwed. Now you can't sign him. And you're like, oh, no, please come back. I was just kidding. No. You have the option to buy. So if it all fails, you can activate the option to buy. But no. Let's sign him in fucking February, even though there's 4 months left to the summer, 5 months left until the summer transfer market opens. Idiots, man. fucking idiots. Deco and his department are fucking idiots. Barca for Life says Balde can't do nothing but run fast. No thanks. Balde needs to get out of... Nah, come on, bro. Let's be real here. Has he going through a bad time? Yes. But to say all he knows how to do is run, come on, bro. Let's be real. EO says, I agree, Deco's not the best negotiator, but 10 million per year for 3 years is something. No, it's not something because you're still paying 30 million. Plus, how do we know we're not going to pay interest on those? So it might end up being even more, 35, maybe 40 million. So no, it's not something, man. It's like that was the option to buy. Like again, this is like literally walking into a car dealership, asking for a car's price, agreeing to that car's price, and then thinking you negotiated a great deal because you're gonna pay for the car in installments. And it's like you didn't negotiate shit. That was the price they gave you, and that's the price you took. Evgeny says we signed AJ Tavares, the other left wing from FC Dam, forgot his name. And as far as I know, we are close to BC Woo. 3 young left wingers. Yeah, but they still have a long time until they're ready. Let's see. Let's do a couple more and then we'll call it. Manny says Rashford and Grizzly loan contracts were completely different types. Barca didn't need to do what AM did. What do you mean? Look, the point is Barca cannot fucking negotiate it. That's the point. And so, yeah, it says, hey, Mo, while Rashford is not great, but at least a profile like him, just 30 mil is still a deal. Maybe. But again, we could have negotiated better. And that's the point. Anyways. Oh, whoa. My phone just started screaming at me. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, for your likes, for your donations, for your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. And if you haven't dropped a comment yet, well, you can't because it's still live. But when it do end this, make sure to drop a comment. No more news for today, but I will see you guys in tomorrow's watch-along as Barcelona are set to face off against Villarreal. Thank you, guys. And as always, Viscar's.